Hey everybody, it's playtime, and I was cleaning out the freezer and I found in there some drumsticks and some wings of chicken. And back in the day when I worked at foodies markets, we made fried chicken based on the ad hoc Thomas Keller restaurant fried chicken. And it's not exactly the same because they sous vide it and they brine it, and we're not going to do that, but we're going to do it my way, and it's based on that. So it's not all my, it's ours. First thing we're going to do is take our chicken pieces, wings, drumsticks. I had this lemon thyme salad dressing that I made a while back in my refrigerator, and we are going to marinate these in that for a while. So, oops, crash. Make sure they're nicely coated. We're going to put them in the refrigerator, and after a couple of hours or an hour, we're going to fry them. Our wings are all marinated up. Now it's time to coat them. We have some flour and some buttermilk. If I can get the cover off. Whoa, get it done? First, we're going to dredge each piece in flour. Shake off the excess and coat it in the buttermilk using the wet hand, dry hand method. This buttermilk is super thick, so it's going to be good and sticky. Back into the flour. Make sure it's very nicely coated. And now onto a baking sheet to wait for the rest of the pieces. Our chicken pieces are all coated, floured and buttermilked. And oh, by the way, I didn't mention that in the flour I mixed salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and that will help season these so they'll be delicious. Because the drumsticks are big, we're going to start with those, one or two at a time, into our hot oil. Look at the drumsticks, we'll do one. And those are going to take a bit. So we'll see what we come up with when they're done. We want to turn these to make sure that they're nice and evenly browned and cooked on both sides, all sides. This is what they look like so far, but I bet they're not done in the middle, or it's not done in the middle, so we're going to keep going. These drumsticks are pretty substantial, and that looks done, but it's only halfway done, so we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep turning it around. Okay, let's take its temperature and see what we got. Okay, it's only 100 degrees. It's supposed to be 160, but it's really, really browned on the outside. So what I'm going to do with these bigger pieces is pull them and finish them in the oven. When we use the fry-later at the market, I used to turn it way down, lower than usual temperature to keep this from happening. But my Fry Daddy doesn't have the thermostat. It just heats up and stays where it is. So that's why we're going to do it the other way. We're now up to one of the smaller pieces, the first smaller piece, and as you can see, it has floated to the top, and that usually indicates doneness. So let's take a tip. Looks like we're going to turn the thermometer back on. We're almost there, but I'm taking it out anyway. So the smaller pieces are going to go on a separate plate because they don't have to heat up. Our large pieces are full-size drumsticks and our drum ends of our wings all ranged in temperature from 110 to 115 degrees. So I'm putting in the oven 350 for 15 to 20 minutes and we'll see how they come out. Here are smaller pieces, the smaller drum ends of our wings and the flat ends of our wings. And those ranged in temperature from 135 to 150, so they're not going to take as long. They will go in when the other ones come out. Our bigger pieces are now out of the oven. The biggest ones are 165, the smaller ones are a little more than that, but that's okay. I'm going to add a little pinch of salt. And then we're going to eat them up. The smaller ones in the oven, I put those in for 8 minutes because these only took 15. The rest of our chicken wings are done. And that's what they look like. Crispy, crunchy, temping right to a good temperature. And we're going to add a little salt to these too. And then, now, we're going to make a bit of a side dish to go with them. All together now. Sitting right next to the chicken parts in my freezer were these potato and leek cakes that I had made a while back. And that's what's going to accompany our fried chicken. And to top off everything, we're going to make a creamy southern style gravy, starting with some butter. When that gets a little melty, we're going to season it up and continue on. We're starting to get bubbly a little bit. We're going to give it some salt and pepper. Not a whole lot of salt because we're using chicken stock. And some thyme. I like herbs in the gravy. And to spark it up a little bit to go with our fried chicken, some cayenne pepper. That should do it. Incorporate those seasonings into the butter. And now comes some all-purpose flour. Incorporate that well as well. We're going to let that cook down for a minute or two to get out the starchiness of that flour. And now some chicken stock. Because we're going to also add half and half to this. You see how thick it's bubble a little bit? And it's super thick, so let's add in our half and half and see how much that thins it out. We may need to add some more stock, but let's just, I think I need me a whisk. Definitely too thick. So in comes a little more chicken stock. I just want to drizzle this over top, so I want it to be pourable. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to make this a little creamier, but not too much thinner. And that ought to be perfect. Next thing we're going to do is fry our potato and leek cakes while we keep this gravy warm so we can serve it as soon as they're done. Our oil is starting to shimmer, and now we're going to add in our cakes. Nice and sizzly. I'm just one notch above medium. Let's make room for number 5. These are going to turn out nice and crispy on the outside. We're going to cook them till they're browned around the edges and then flip them over. You probably can't see from that distance, but these are starting to get brown on the edges. And that means they're brown on the other side, like that. Come on, baby, no sticking. Beautiful. Okay, these will be done in a couple of minutes. I'm warming up some of our, keeping our chicken warm. Not warming it up, keeping it warm. And then we're going to serve it up with our potato and meat cakes and our southern style creamy gravy. And it's going to be yummy. This is how I've decided to set up our fried chicken and potato leek cakes on a plate. We have our big drumstick our drum part of a wing and the flat part of a wing, and there they are, lined up nicely. And now we're going to give them a drizzle of country gravy. I think it's a little thick, but that's okay. It's gravy. And just a little splash more. And there you have it, our fried chicken dinner with potato leek cakes and spicy Southern country gravy. Thank you for joining me while I went back and revisited the ad hoc inspired fried chicken that I used to make, and then we served it along with the potato leek cakes and some spicy Southern style gravy. And hope you join me again soon. It's Easter weekend, so we got some stuff coming up too.